Exposed. Single dad CEO's bone-chilling secret, his daughter's eerie wish to keep her forever. The storm raged outside, thunder cracking like a whip, unleashing shadows that danced ominously across the walls of Jake's living room. He felt the chill creep in, settling deep in his bones. Just weeks after his daughter Lily's 10th birthday, she had received a strange gift from the neighbor, a doll wrapped in faded lace that seemed to hum with an unsettling energy. The air had thickened ever since, as if the world had drawn a tight line around them, suffocating. Rain lashed against the windows, and Jake felt the familiar tightness in his chest, a reminder of the life he fought tirelessly to build after the tragic passing of his beloved wife. The white picket fences of Maplewood hid secrets, one being the allure of that doll. He caught sight of it perched on the mantel, its glassy eyes staring back, unnervingly alive. He shook his head, trying to dismiss the anxiety creeping up his spine. "Dad," Lily whispered, her tiny hands clutching her favorite stuffed bear, "can we keep it? I want it forever." Her innocent smile twisted the pit in his stomach into something darker. A wish to keep her father close, but what did "forever" entail? The moment her voice curled around those words, he heard the creak of the floorboards, a sound they both knew too well. Something wasn't right. Just then, a flash of lightning illuminated the room, and for an instant, Jake could swear the doll had shifted. "Did you see that?" he asked, heart pounding. Lily giggled, but there was an unsettling edge to it, one that made his skin prick. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With the storm raging, the shadows deepened, intertwining fear with the echoes of Whispering Pines, the street they lived on, where everyone knew each other, but not the secrets lurking in their midst. Jake recalled the rumors about the neighbor, a woman draped in mystery, with knowledge that seemed to transcend normal bar gossip. She had warned him about that doll, the one with the eyes that could hold you captive. As thunder growled, the doll began to emit a low hum, vibrating through the walls, piercing through Jake's resolve. Was it just his imagination? The air felt thick as he noticed the flickering lights. Just then, an overturned picture frame caught his eye, a picture of Lily and her mother that brought a bitter taste to his mouth, reminding him of a void so expansive it threatened to swallow them whole. Jake's heart raced as movements whispered through his home. Was the house alive? Or was it just him, spiraling deeper into fear? Lily was staring at the doll, her gaze transfixed as if she were caught in some wicked trance, and Jake understood then that this was just the beginning. He had to act fast. The darkness felt alive, and it crept closer, mirroring the storm as it teased what lay ahead, leaving only one haunting thought. Could he protect his daughter from the curse that loomed over them both? The hollowness of the living room was abruptly filled with a chilling whisper. Jake felt it claw at his soul, an echo wrapped in Lily's voice. "Dad, I think she wants to play." The air grew thicker, almost suffocating. Every instinct screamed for him to put distance between Lily and the doll, but the way his daughter stared at it, with eyes wide and sparkly, made him quake inside. Her innocence was so fragile, so selective about what it could bear. "Lily, why don't we read a book instead? You love stories." Jake's voice quivered, the words barely breaking through the oppressive atmosphere. "No, Daddy. I like her. She is special." The doll seemed to pulse gently, its glassy eyes glimmering as if celebrating her affections. Jake felt himself spiraling into a whirlpool of anxiety. His mind raced back to the warnings from the neighbor, how she had spoken of curses and lost souls. He couldn't let fear control him, but every thrum from the doll made his heart drop. Suddenly, the lights flickered again, plunging them into darkness before the emergency bulbs caught bathed in a dull yellow glow that filled every corner of the room with long shadows. Just then, a loud crash resonated from the kitchen. "Stay here," Jake commanded, his voice cutting through the gloom. He hurried toward the kitchen, forcing himself to navigate through the knots of fear winding his chest. The scene was a mess. A cupboard had swung open, spilling mugs and plates onto the floor. As Jake picked up a broken piece of ceramic, an unearthly chill splintered across the back of his neck. He spun around, convinced he was not alone. And in the doorway stood Lily, wide-eyed but eerily serene. "Daddy, come play. She wants to share her secrets with us." The way she uttered those words chilled him to the bone. "Lily, come here," he shouted, racing back to pull her away from the shadowy presence of the doll. But Lily remained still, an intangible energy clinging to her, almost as if she had been tethered by invisible threads woven from the fabric of the storm itself. "Why won't you listen?" The doll seemed to whisper through the cries of the wind, a voice so delicate yet achingly familiar. Jake felt rage swell within him, boiling over as he rushed back and snatched the doll from its perch on the mantel. "No! You can't take her!" Lily's scream pierced through the cacophony, slicing through his resolve. His hands trembled as he clutched the doll tightly. The surface was warm, almost too warm, pulsing like a heart beneath his palms. The lights overhead flickered violently, drowning the room in confusion. Shadows twisted, and he could feel the very walls of his home quaking in response to an unseen force. "You don't want to know what she wants," he yelled, holding the doll out like a shield. The air shivered around him, vibrating almost angrily. But Lily stepped closer, impossibly calm amidst the storm that swirled around them. "Forever means forever, Daddy," she whispered, her voice a haunting melody. Panic surged in Jake, a need to escape the spiraling situation. He turned, shoving the doll into a nearby box. He slammed the lid down, breathless as a whimper echoed through the room. It erupted into laughter, a high, tinkling sound that seemed utterly out of place in the chaos of the storm. With each thunderstrike, Jake's doubts gnawed at the fringes of his sanity. What had they invited into their lives? The lid of the box rattled, as if the doll sensed its imprisonment. Lily's eyes shimmered, reflecting a light that seemed otherworldly. He looked at his daughter, fear and desperation pooling in his gut. "Lily, we need to leave. Now!" Just then, the house groaned in response, shadows closing in as the storm's fury intensified, and Jake finally realized it was just the beginning. As he clutched Lily's hand, ready to run, he felt a cold breeze seep through the walls. The last thing he heard before the rattle of the box broke into an unearthly song was a soft, ghostly whisper lingering in the wind, "You can't escape what you desire." And with that, they were ensnared, caught in a web of secrets unraveling around them. The storm raged outside, hurling rain against the windows as Jake and Lily stood frozen. The intensity of the wind mirrored the tumult within him. "Jake, we have to go." Panic dripped from his voice. Tears brimmed in Lily's bright eyes, but her gaze remained fixated on the box, her lips barely moving as she murmured something he couldn't quite catch. It felt like the air was tightening around them, squeezing the breath from his lungs. "Lily," he shouted again, but his words fell flat against the thundering chaos that surrounded them. The laughter erupted again, this time louder, more mocking. Jake's pulse thundered in his ears. He turned on his heel, wrenching Lily away from the grip of the nightmare that seemed to envelop them. The walls felt alive, pulsating with a rhythm that echoed his rising dread. "Now!" Jake snarled, forcing his daughter toward the front door. But she halted, her small hand slipping from his grasp. "No, Daddy." "She is calling me!" Lily cried, her voice rising over the howl of the storm. Jake was overcome with an icy dread as he turned to face her. "What do you mean? Who is calling you?" Lily's eyes glimmered like polished stones, reflecting something deep and unfathomable. "Her," she said slowly, pointing to the box that trembled as if something inside was thrashing to get free. Sweat trickled down Jake's back. A part of him wanted to run, to flee the house and all that it held. But another part wanted to understand why his little girl was so drawn to the doll, the unseen power it seemed to possess. "No!" He was desperate. "We're leaving." He lunged for her hand again, but a sudden gust blew through the open window, snatching at his clothes and pulling him back like an angry spirit. He struggled, but it felt like the house was pushing them both away from freedom. "Daddy, please!" Lily's voice wavered, her innocence a fragile thread caught in the wind. With every heartbeat, the urgency crescendoed, the thrumming of the house resonating with a low hum that vibrated in his bones. Jake took a deep breath, trying to maintain control. "Lily, listen. We will talk about it later, but right now, we need to go. Please trust me." Her face crumpled, lost between the power of the doll and her father's wavering pleas. "But I can hear her. She wants to be my friend." A pulse of terror shot through him. The house felt as if it were expanding, contracting, like the very walls were breathing for the doll that remained captive. "What do you mean? What did she say?" His voice trembled, fear coiling deep in his gut. "She said she will keep us safe," Lily replied, each word feeling heavy with implication. "She promises I'll never be alone again behind them." The lid of the box rattled again, each movement drawing Jake's eyes back toward it. The laughter morphed into a sound more sinister, like nails scraping against wood. "Jake!" A new voice echoed through the room, a woman's voice, low and melodic, wrapping around them like warmth on a cold winter evening. "Isn't it too late to run? You both belong to her now." The shadows in the corners seemed to writhe and twist, forming figures that flickered in the dim light. The whispers surrounded them, a cacophony of voices intertwining, each one promising allure and danger. With one final look back at the box, Jake steeled himself. "No, we won't let her take you." He reached down, grabbing Lily's hand tightly, determined to break away from the chilling grasp of the doll's power. "No! Daddy!" Lily screamed as she pulled in the opposite direction, tears streaming down her cheeks, the reality of their situation dawning upon him. "Lily!" he shouted in a final plea, the storm outside roaring louder as everything around them began to collapse into chaos. As shadows stretched further, tendrils reaching toward them both, Jake realized that the darkness was alive, and soon enough, they would have to make a choice: fight or submit. But before he could act, a sharp crack sounded through the air, and the doll's laughter morphed into a bone-chilling scream, reverberating through their very souls. And in that moment, Jake understood. The game was far from over. He turned back to Lily, desperation painted across his face. "We need to confront her together." Just then, the lights flickered again, plunging them into darkness, the wind howling as they stood at the brink of something far more terrifying than he had ever imagined. What would they have to sacrifice to break free? Jake felt the world blur around him as darkness cocooned them. He could barely see Lily, only the flicker of her silhouette against the choking shadows that clawed at the edges of his vision. Heart racing, he tightened his grip on her hand, anchoring himself in the chaos. "Stay close," he urged, his voice hoarse and strained. The distant sound of the storm dimmed, replaced by the low hum that surrounded the box, an enchanting melody intertwining with a sinister note. Lily's wide eyes held a mix of fear and fascination, and he could sense her internal battle. "She said I could play with her," she whispered, her words soft yet sharp as knives. "She said we could be a family." "No. She is lying." The intensity of his response startled even him. Families don't keep secrets. We have to get out of here. Desperate sobs escaped Lily's lips, echoing within the walls. But Daddy, I don't want to be alone. The truth landed like a stone in Jake's stomach. His heart twisted at the thought of his little girl feeling isolated in the world. He knelt, now face to face with Lily, looking deep into her trembling eyes that reflected the flickering light from the box. You're not alone. You have me. We're a team, remember? We can face anything together. The doll's laughter bubbled through the darkness, a sinister, triumphant sound. It danced around them, taunting, as the shadows shifted and expanded, encroaching on their space. Suddenly, a frozen whisper crawled up Jake's spine, words laced with honeyed poison. You'll crave her warmth, Jake. Without me, this world will be cold and dark. The voice dripped with malevolence, and every instinct in him screamed to escape. Just ignore her, Jake shouted, steeling his resolve. He reached for the box, still quivering on the floor, the lid rattling erratically. We have to destroy it. The echoes of laughter harmonized with Lily's sobs, creating a cacophony that threatened his sanity. Lily resisted, pulling back in a panic. No, Daddy. Don't. She'll be angry. Good. Let her be angry, he yelled, frustration spilling over him. This is our chance to reclaim our peace. With every ounce of determination, Jake lunged toward the box, heart hammering loudly. The moment he crouched down to grab the lid, an overwhelming force crashed against him. It felt as if the very air shifted, slamming into him with full weight, sending shockwaves through his bones. Don't touch her, Lily whispered fiercely, a sudden fierceness igniting in her eyes, unfamiliar and unsettling. It was fear, mixed with something darker, something taught by the very presence of the doll. Jake's heart sank as he realized the depths of the bond forming between his daughter and the entity lurking within that cursed box. Lily, please, listen to me, he pleaded. This isn't what you want. She is not your friend. Behind them, the shadows swirled and began to take form. Jake could see faces distorted, anguished expressions moving closer, caught in the doll's grip. No! We will not let her through, he shouted, steeling himself. A searing pain shot through his chest, love morphing into desperation. The front door loomed behind them, still ajar, a beacon of potential salvation. Come with me, he cried, tugging at Lily's arm, dragging her back toward the light, ignoring the tumult of emotions twisting between them. He could feel the heat from the shadows trying to hold them back, clutching at their ankles like spiders hungry for prey. As they neared the door, the laughter grew louder, the shadows stretching, tendrils reaching for both of them. You can't run forever. The voice was menacing, crackling through the dark. Jake's grip on Lily tightened. We can't let it in. Hold on to me. Suddenly, a bright flash illuminated the room, revealing twisted silhouettes that writhed in grotesque delight. Daddy! Lily yanked free, stepping toward the box, eyes gleaming with an unfathomable desire. Lily, no. Panic washed over him as he lunged, but the light flickered, dimming as Lily turned her back on him. One choice sat before her: a step forward into darkness, or a retreat into the unknown. The storm outside grew more furious, matching the turmoil inside. Jake felt the room constrict around him, walls breathing heavy with anticipation. And as the shadows surged closer, whispering promises of companionship and safety, Jake knew they were running out of time. What will it cost? He whispered, fear knotted in his chest. It had come down to this: Lily's fate or their freedom. And beneath the ominous laughter, the question hung thick in the air: what would they have to give up to reclaim their lives? Jake's heart raced, not just from fear, but from the realization of betrayal written in Lily's eyes. In that flickering moment, the choice was made. She was stepping away from him, unraveling the thread that held them together. Lily, Come back!" he shouted, desperation clawing at his throat. The shadows swirled closer, feeding off the tension as the laughter grew louder, weaving a cocktail of dread and urgency. "No!" she screamed, spinning around with a voice that dripped with pain and resolve. "You don't understand. She has everything I've ever wanted. She can make me happy." Jake's mind reeled. What had the doll promised? What dark magic had grabbed a hold of his daughter so tightly that she couldn't see the danger? He surged forward, combating the phantom hands that clawed at his body, pulling him back toward the box. The air turned thick, suffocating him with whispers and laughter that echoed off the walls. "Look at how beautiful she is, Daddy." Lily pointed at the doll, now glowing with an otherworldly light that pulsed in rhythm with the storm outside. "She loves me. We can be a family together." "No, that's not family," he barked, fueled by anger and fear. "Family is about love, not binding contracts made in darkness. We're family, Lily. Not her." The laughter transformed into a chorus of taunts, shredding at the fabric of his resolve. "Join us, Jake. Embrace the legacy of love and warmth." Jake glanced back at the door. It felt more distant with each heartbeat, the enticing light seeming further away. "You're not alone, Lily. I won't let her take you from me." But Lily stood resolute, hypnotized by the doll's gleaming eyes. She took a small step toward it, an invitation to the abyss lurking just beneath its porcelain surface. In a moment of desperation, Jake prepared to rush toward his daughter, anything to snap her out of this trance. But just as he lunged, the laughter erupted into a piercing shrill, a sound that shattered through his nerves. The shadows recoiled and morphed, forming the faces of people he loved tangled in the darkness, all echoing his daughter's name, Lily. "No!" He gritted his teeth, shoving back against the dark magic around him. "This isn't love. It's a prison. Shut him out." A voice from the box screamed, thrumming in sync with the encroaching shadows. They surged forward, wrapping around Jake like chains, pulling him to his knees. "Daddy!" Lily cried, bone-chilling desperation filling her voice as she wrestled against the unseen force. "Help me!" The sight felt like a knife twisting in his chest. "Lily, don't let her control you." With a swift movement, Jake summoned every ounce of strength he had left. He pushed against the weight of despair wrapping around him, and lunged once more toward Lily. The light from the box flickered under the strain of both his will and the imminent grasp of shadows. Just as he reached for her, a soft, sing-song voice interjected sweetly, but with sharp edges, "Let her go, Jake. Let her be free." In an act of primal instinct, his hand shot out, catching hold of Lily's wrist as he tried to anchor her to him. A power surged through the room, the shadows winding tighter, eager to pull him into the abyss. Light and dark battled violently as Jake struggled, body trembling, heart pounding. "I won't let you take her," he roared, ripping against the hold of the darkness. Suddenly, an explosive burst lanced through the atmosphere. The box erupted in a blinding flash, sending blood-chilling shrieks echoing through the air. "No!" Lily screamed, collapsing as the blast disoriented her. "Lily!" Jake roared, catching her before she fell deep into the shadow's grasp. But the power surged, lifting him off the ground and pitting them against the wall in a brutal chokehold. He felt the darkness crawl over him, whispering sweet nothings and promises of comfort. "Join us, Jake." In that agonizing split second, Jake realized this was only the beginning. Their fight wasn't just for survival. It was for the very essence of their souls. He would have to make a choice, and when that moment came, the cost might be unbearable. As the shadows thickened, smothering their cries, the world around him swirled into chaos. What would he choose when it mattered most? The storm outside roared, demanding answers, as an unsettling resolve crept into the edges of their sanctuary. Could he save them both before it was too late, or would he lose not only Lily but himself to the specter of the doll's temptation? Lily's body went limp in Jake's arms, weightless, and yet burdened by shadows that whispered promises of eternal happiness. Panic clawed at Jake's chest, constricting his breath as he struggled against the grip of the darkness, still binding him in its icy tendrils. The once blaring shrieks from the box faded into a haunting silence, leaving only the frantic beating of his heart to fill the void. "Wake up, baby," he pleaded, shaking her gently as he fought against the dark force threatening to smother them both. Her pulse under his fingers felt faint, and a cold dread crept into the corners of his mind. The doll blinked, its eyes spinning as it morphed from innocent beauty to something grotesque, a demon cloaked in porcelain. "She is tired, Jake, but she can always rest in my arms." Its voice fluttered like moth wings against the silence, enticing and sinister. "No, I can't lose you, Lily. Not like this." He tightened his grip, the warmth of her skin flooding his senses. Memories flashed through him, a little girl's laughter, her tiny hand in his, her dreams shared under endless starry nights. This was not the end. It couldn't be. As Jake sensed the shadows closing in, decay mingling with despair, a primal instinct roared to life inside him. "You might think you own her. You think she is yours," he snarled, his voice rising above the shadows, grasping at his resolve. "But you don't know her. You don't know us." With a desperate roar, he called upon every ounce of love he had for his daughter. The memories transformed into a vibrant light, pushing back against the darkness like the sun forcing its way through storm clouds. The shadows writhed. "No, you can't defy the bond." But he refused to yield. "I'll fight. I'll fight for her." He felt the warmth of their family engulf him, fueling his resolve, weaving into an armor against despair. The dark laughter faltered, twisting into frustration as the light surged. A blinding flash burst from his heart, igniting the room, illuminating flickers of hope amidst the encroaching nightmare. The doll shrieked, the porcelain skin cracking under the pressure of the love radiating from Jake. Images of Lily flashed brightly in his mind, her first steps, her first words, the way her eyes sparkled with joy. "Lily," he roared, desperation battling with fervor. "Come back to me." The shadows screamed, recoiling as if burned, their hold on him loosening. Suddenly, he could see Lily's face pale, framed by the swirling tendrils, the light-casting shadows dancing across her skin. "Daddy," she murmured, her eyes fluttering open, a mixture of confusion and fear reflected in her gaze. "Yes. Fight it, Lily. You're stronger than this." His heart surged as he felt the connection pull taut, like a wire ready to snap. She blinked, shaking her head as though awakening from a terrible dream. "What is happening? Don't look at it," he urged, desperate to shield her from the horror creeping closer, from the doll that still cackled in the corner. "Remember our love. Remember us." The force of the light exploded through the room, and the shadows screamed, twisting into shapes of torment and anguish. Jake tightened his grip, feeling the warmth of Lily's hand spark a current of strength. "Together," he shouted. "We can break it." Lily's eyes widened, realization dawning as she took a deep breath, her resolve rekindling like flames against the wind. She nodded, and together they pushed back, but the shadows weren't finished. With a final surge, they lashed out, hitting like a wave against the remnants of their light. Jake gritted his teeth, feeling the pressure building, the darkness threatening to swallow them whole. "Fight!" The voices shrieked, pouring their power into his mind, bombarding him with fear, images of failure splattering against his resolve like daggers. "You will lose her." The box rattled, the cacophony of laughter mixing with his own fear filling the room, drowning him in uncertainty. But underneath that fear, he felt a flicker of something else, determination. "Lily, hold on." He screamed, even as the chaos swirled around him, and just like that, a pulse of light burst from within him, cascading out in every direction, meeting the onrush of darkness with unstoppable force. Would it be enough? The shadows tightened their grip, and the room began to tremble, inching toward a climax where desperation and power collided. Would this light be enough to sever the bond? Or would the darkness snatch away both their souls, leaving nothing behind but echoes of their cries? The light surged forth, a blinding beacon against the suffocating darkness. Jake felt its warmth wash over him like the first rays of dawn after an endless night. The shadows wailed, retreating for the moment, but their distance felt tenuous, fragile. His heart raced, each pulse a desperate plea for Lily to stay grounded, to hold on to the bright fragments of their love. "Daddy!" Lily's voice trembled, but a flicker of strength ignited behind her wide eyes. Jake clung to her, desperate to keep the moment alive, to protect her from the malevolent chill that still lingered on the edges of their sanctuary. Suddenly, the doll's laughter echoed through the room, haunting and cruel. "You think this will keep her safe? You think love can conquer shadows?" Its voice slithered into Jake's mind, sowing seeds of doubt. "You know nothing of sacrifice." "I know everything," Jake roared back, every bit of his soul aching to shield Lily. He had fought demons before. This one was no different. "You don't own her. You're just a twisted reflection and echo of despair." The word stirred something deep within the darkness, a rumble like thunder, as shadows churned violently. The air grew heavy, swirling with an ominous energy that made the ground tremble beneath their feet. "Listen, Lily," he said urgently, desperation threading through his voice. "Focus on me. Focus on our dreams, our adventures. We'll climb mountains together, just like we promised. Keep that spark alive." Lily's gaze was fierce, unyielding. "I will fight," she declared, her spirit wavering yet unbroken. Jake could feel it, her determination pushing against the consuming darkness, a small candle flickering defiantly in a raging storm. Then, suddenly, silence blanketed them like thick fog. The doll, a twisted caricature of innocence, stood eerily still. "Do you even know what must be sacrificed to keep her, Jake?" It hissed, its voice a chilling caress that made his skin crawl. "What price are you willing to pay for your love?" A shiver ran down his spine. The shadows danced, seemingly shaping into images from his own memories, moments of vulnerability, of doubt. Memories of not being enough. His hands began to tremble. "Lily," he whispered, his voice faltering slightly. Could he truly protect her from this? Was the love he wielded strong enough? "Yes, Daddy," she urged. "Don't let it get to you. Those are lies." And just like that, Jake recognized the truth nestled within the darkness. "I will not fear your threats. I have already sacrificed everything for her." In that moment of clarity, his voice thundered with unyielding conviction as he took a step forward, forcing the darkness to recoil. "I will not let the shadows dictate who we become." The doll shrieked as if raw nerve endings had been exposed, twisting in agony. The shadows flickered, caught between Jake's love and the cruel clutches of despair. But the fight wasn't over. An icy tendril snaked around his ankle, dragging him back toward chaos. "Lily, no matter what happens, you must hold on," he shouted, horror filling his chest as he felt the grip of the shadows tighten. With tears of determination glistening in her eyes, Lily transformed in that moment. She became a warrior forged from the light of their memories. "I will hold on. Forever." The room shook violently, shadows rebelling against the spark of hope igniting within them. But the darkness wasn't finished yet. As Jake felt the ground slip beneath him, the doll's voice pierced through, stronger than before. "Every precious moment comes at a cost. Are you prepared for the unimaginable?" And just like that, Jake was yanked back into the depths as the world around him spun into chaos, leaving him breathless in the abyss of looming dread. What would he have to sacrifice to keep Lily safe? As silence warped around them once more, dread sank deep into his bones. The echoes of shadows whispered, drowning out their courage. What was the unimaginable price he would need to pay to claim their love? The ground churned beneath Jake, a gaping maw of shadows threatening to swallow him whole. Every instinct screamed for him to break free, but the icy tendrils gripped harder, pulling him further into the abyss. He fought against the pull, finding strength in the fiery image of Lily, ever bright against the smothering dark. "Stay with me, Lily." His voice echoed, desperate, an anchor in the swirling chaos. "Daddy." Her voice was strained, but she stood resolute, eyes glimmering fiercely. He could see her light battling the encroaching darkness, a beacon in the tempest. She reached for him, her small hand stretching as if it could reach through the collapsing void. "Hold on. Just a little longer." Jake grunted, straining against the pull. The shadows breathed heavily, seeming to morph into faces of lost hopes, twisted memories of moments he wished he could rewrite. Their whispers echoed, dragging him down, filling his mind with doubts. "Watch what you wish for. What will you do to keep her? Your love is not enough." With every tortured breath, Jake felt true panic gripping his heart. Could he protect her? Was he already failing? No, he refused to entertain those thoughts, to let the darkness skew his resolve. "I am her father!" He shouted defiantly into the void, voice trembling with power. "You don't know what we've been through." "I want to give up." But the shadows laughed, a cacophony of taunting voices that seeped into his soul. "Yes, fight. It only makes it sweeter when you fall." Lily's face remained fierce, fear fighting through every fiber of her being. "Daddy, please. You have to believe. Remember our dreams. You said we would be together forever." The clarity of those words cut through the fog, anchoring Jake to his purpose. He had one weapon left, one thing that the darkness could not touch. "I believe in us, Lily. You are the light that drives me forward." With a primal roar, Jake focused all his energy on their bond, letting fury and love surge through him. The light that filled the room flared brilliantly, pushing against the shadows, igniting a wave of warmth that radiated outward. He could feel the darkness shudder as it rebelled against the growing flame, and then the reality fractured. A vision washed over Jake, a future he longed for, of sunlit days building magical forts, laughter ringing like music, and the endless twilight of shared dreams. This wasn't just a fight, it was a promise he had made. But in that moment of clarity, something shifted. The doll glided toward him, eyes glowing with malevolence, grinning wider. "Then the price must be paid. Love demands sacrifice, Jake. Will you suffer for her?" Before he could respond, the shadows flickered and reshaped themselves, merging with the doll in a swirling vortex of horror. The shriek echoed, a haunting melody of anguish, as images flashed before him. Searing memories of his past, moments of choices left unmade, weighed heavy, pulling him down with the weight of regret. His mother's face appeared, a ghost trapped in sorrow. "Jake, what if you lose her? What if you have to choose another?" His world tilted, and reality blurred. The shadows wrapped around his throat like fingers. His heart raced like a desperate drum. "No!" he gasped, fighting to breathe. He could feel the grip tightening, crushing, and yet he clung to Lily, her light flaring ever brighter. "We are stronger than this. We will not be torn apart." The darkness trembled at their united front, but Jake knew the storm was far from over. The horrible truth loomed above them, an unavoidable shadow that trifled with fate, a choice he might have to make. Before he could gather his thoughts, a new voice sliced through the turmoil, a chilling echo that sent shivers racing down his spine. What if the only way to save her was to let her go? As dread clenched his gut, Jake froze. Could there be a remedy deeper still, concealed within the darkness, waiting to strike? And just as the shadows screamed in agony, changing shape, the answer slipped away like smoke, leaving Jake with only Lily and an impossible choice ahead. The shadows writhed, twisting around Jake's body, and he felt like a marionette dangling on fraying strings. His heart pounded, each beat echoing louder in the suffocating blackness. Lily's small hand was still grasping his, but the intensity of her light flickered as the darkness bannered with her fear. "Daddy, what if we don't make it?" Her voice trembled like a fragile whisper amidst the cacophony, but it struck a chord deep within Jake. "Never say that," he shouted, rallying against the despair tightening around him. He needed to be her shield, her fortress, not just a father. The desperation of the shadows clawing at him ignited a furious resolve. "Remember our dreams," she urged, the glow in her eyes fighting against the despondency that sought to smother it. "Lily, I can't lose you." The shadows laughed again, their voices swirling, malevolent and mocking. "Lose her, keep her. The choice is yours." Suddenly, the darkness emptied into a shimmering void, a peculiar calm that felt almost surreal. Jake blinked, his thoughts racing. In that moment, an image of Lily, her laughter echoing in parks bathed in sunlight, filled his thoughts. But the overriding fear clung tightly around his heart. What if, he muttered, panic bubbling? What if letting go is the only way? From somewhere deep within him, a voice, steady and strong, rose like a wall against the chaos. "You can't think like that. It's a trick." He had to focus. He needed clarity. The cost of love. What would it take to protect her? The doll glided back into sight, its eyes gleaming far too bright, a sinister reflection of forgotten dreams. "You wish to save her?" it hissed. "Then prove it. Would you let go of everything you know? Everything you are?" Jake's breath hitched. "What do you mean?" "Let the shadows take you. Sacrifice your past, your identity. In return, I grant her safety." The thing grinned, and a cold chill swept through the air, sending shudders racing down his spine. "No! I want to be tricked." Jake barked, but doubt gnawed at him like a ravenous beast. The illusion swirled around him, his joys, his failures, memories of holding Lily for the first time, teaching her to ride a bike, and their bedtime stories all flickered like dying embers. Lily's plea cut through the hypnotic haze. "Daddy, you're strong. We can beat this. You want to let it win." For one gut-wrenching instant, Jake's world narrowed to just that decision. The weight of the shadows thickened. Each inch of darkness was another painful memory, another regret he couldn't fix, and an empty echo of what could be. For her, he whispered, his voice breaking. "What if I let go of those dreams?" A soft glow pulsed through the shadows. "Then you might save her. Give up the past, the pain, the very fabric of who you think you are." He trembled, the conflict tearing at the very core of his being. Every fiber in him screamed against it. How could he ever consider sacrificing his identity when it was intertwined so deeply with his love for Lily? But another vision flickered, her smile shining through chaos, the warmth of her small arms wrapping around him in comfort. Let her go, they were words that echoed louder now, confidence trembling beneath them. But Jake's heart raced fast, burning with urgency. "No!" he screamed, fury igniting within him. "You want to take her?" All at once, shadows lunged at him, latching onto his skin, pulling, biting. In that violent moment, Jake felt the suffocating urge to let go creeping closer. "Fight, Daddy." Lily's voice broke through, fierce and strong. And in the echo of her words, something deep inside him surged, a flicker of belief against the overwhelming despair. Jake would not surrender. Not today. Just then, the doll's grin split wider, and for the first time, fear flashed in those glowing eyes. "You think you can resist? What if we refuse?" Jake shouted, their united light erupting fiercely against the shadow's grip. But the shadows only laughed, dark laughter that scraped against reality. Then prepare for the choices yet to come as the ground trembled beneath him. Jake understood the depth of the battle ahead. Choices looming like specters in the stillness. He gripped Lily's hand tighter. What dark truths waited? Would they be ready when the storm finally broke? In that chilling uncertainty, Jake felt time pause, leaving them in limbo. As a voice whispered just out of reach, the moment is approaching when you must choose between saving her soul or your own. The storm outside shrieked in defiance, pouring unrelenting rain against the windows like an angry beast. Inside, Jake and Lily stood at the edge of an abyss, shadows curling menacingly around them. The doll, contained within its trembling box, pulsed with an unnatural energy, whispering promises of belonging and companionship. "Daddy, we're losing." Lily's voice trembled, her small body shaking under the weight of the darkness. Jake's heart constricted. He could feel her distress mingling with his fear, swirling like the storm outside. "Hold on to me, Lily. Just hold on." Jake gasped, every word a desperate tether binding them against the encroaching shadows. As he spoke, light blossomed within him, igniting against the suffocating darkness. "You're my everything. Together, we're unstoppable." The shadows writhed and howled, their cruel laughter echoing through the air. "Forever means sacrifice, Jake. Are you prepared to lose yourself?" Jake's heart hammered with dread, the shadows clawing at his soul. But he couldn't let despair take him. Not now. The thought alone sparked defiance deep within. "You underestimate our bond," he shouted, forcing his voice to rise above the chaos. "You think love is weakness? It's our greatest strength." With each word, the shadows recoiled, as if stung by truth. The connection between father and daughter fueled his resolve, an unyielding flame against the darkness. Jake felt all the moments they had shared, Lily's laughter, her innocent dreams, the quiet nights filled with stories. And as he conjured these memories, a shimmering light burst forth from his heart, illuminating the room and dispersing the shadows, like mist in the morning sun. "Let her go!" he bellowed, voice carved from determination, feeling the vibrations of his love ripple through the air. "You don't control her." The doll screeched, its porcelain visage cracking under the pressure of love's brilliance. The darkness tangled furious tendrils around Jake's legs, trying to drag him down, but Lily's bright eyes shone fiercely, shining like beacons of hope. "Fight with me, Daddy. I believe in us," she cried, her spirit igniting like fire in the storm. "Yes. Together," he shouted, their voices intertwining, echoing off the very walls. The shadows shrieked in outrage, twisting and contorting as the light grew stronger. "This is our moment." In an explosion of blinding brightness, Jake pushed against the darkness, holding onto Lily's hand as the shadows reeled back in fear. But then came the question, whispered like a sinister breeze, "What will it cost you?" The shadows morphed, swirling, revealing images of every choice Jake had ever made. Every moment he felt unworthy or lost. "Would you cast aside the very essence of who you are? To save her?" Jake felt panic clawing at his throat. What if he had to surrender everything, his past, his identity? The shadowy figure sneered, warping into familiar faces, ghosts of regret, faces twisted by sorrow. "Look at how weak you are," they hissed. "No!" Jake shouted. "You want to control me. You want to take my daughter." He could feel the weight of sacrifice pressing down on him, like an anchor pulling him under. But he wouldn't let it. Not today. He tightened his grip on Lily, and felt the warm glow of her spirit surge in response. "I want to be torn from you, Lily," he shouted, his voice echoing in defiance of despair. "No matter what happens, we stand united." With a collective roar, their lights flared, piercing through the darkness like rays of the sun. Shadows shrieked in agony, twisting in the wake of their combined strength. Just when Jake thought victory was within reach, the winds howled in a final act of defiance. You must choose. The shadows reverberated, coalescing into threatening figures. Her heart or your soul? A knot twisted in Jake's chest, both fear and resolve fighting for dominance. But he felt the warmth of Lily's hand, her unwavering belief, her innocence, a pure light that could never be extinguished. I choose love, he screamed with all his might. And I choose you, Lily. Suddenly, everything exploded. The walls trembled, the doll shattered, its pieces flying in a frenzy of light and dark. Lily gasped, the bond between them igniting into a brilliant flame that obliterated fear. The shadows screamed, unraveling like thread pulled taut. With one final pulse of love, everything imploded. The shadows dissolved, scattering like ashes carried away by the wind. Lily's laugh rang out, joyous and free, a sound that filled the void once occupied by darkness. The storm outside began to fade, the rain lightening to a gentle patter. Daddy? We did it! Her voice chimed, and Jake's heart soared, warmth flooding through his veins. Yes, we did, he replied, pulling her close, breathing in relief. They were safe, bound together by something unbreakable. As sunlight began to flood through the windows, filtering through remnants of the shadows that flickered away, Jake knew they would face the world together. Let us never let darkness win again, he whispered, gazing deeply into Lily's innocent eyes. Never. She beamed, her spirit sparkling with renewed life. And in that moment, Jake realized the secret. Love was their greatest shield, the ultimate compass guiding them home. They had conquered the storm, and now they could embrace every sunrise without fear. But even as joy enveloped them, shadows lingered still at the edge of their sanctuary, a reminder that darkness could return. Yet, one thing remained clear. Together, they would fight always, no matter the cost. If you felt that thrill of hope and courage alongside Jake and Lily, you need to subscribe now, so you don't miss out on more exclusive stories that will lead you to the edge of your seat. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and help these stories reach more hearts. And don't just sit there, flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the epic conclusion. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this journey with you. Don't wait even one more second to share. True fans know how important it is to keep this community alive.